A loaded football podcast for you on a Friday after the opening night kickoff in Philadelphia. The Eagles hang on after a fun scoring game turned into a fun defensive game after delay. I think the one thing I take from it, the most important factor of the game, I'll break that down a little bit. Also, the Jalen Carter spitting incident and more on that game with our good friend Willie Colon, who's going to talk Aaron Rodgers in his backyard. Not New York, but his old stomping grounds, Pittsburgh. We'll get to Super Bowl picks. I'll give you my Super Bowl picks. They are definitive. They're emphatic, and we will be unrelenting with how serious we are about these picks. And Ceruti's going to go 32 teams in not 32 minutes, but 32 questions, 32 teams in the NFL. Your team will be involved. Your team may not have a super in-depth answer. And we've got life advice, some follow-up on the salt pool for Kyle because he has hurt a generation. This is the Ryen Russillo podcast presented by FanDuel, and the NFL is officially back. So if you're going to be in it with FanDuel. They've got the goods, futures, live betting, SGPs, that same game parlays, your way bets, all of it. The app's clean, it's fast, and yeah, when you win, you get paid instantly, which is nice because Sunday patience doesn't exist. So get your bets in, build something bold, and make every game feel bigger. Download the FanDuel app or head to FanDuel.com/Ryen, R-Y-E-N, to get started. The Ringer is committed to responsible gaming. Please visit rg-help.com to learn more about the resources and helplines available, and listen to the end of the episode for additional details. Must be 21 and older and present in select states or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat. In Connecticut, paid endorsement. The NFL season has started. We had one game. The Eagles won it at home. Let's run through a game that was actually a ton of fun and then was delayed and stalled out quite a bit. So, Eagles win this one 24-20 against Dallas. The game opened with both teams scoring on every possession. So 8 straight possessions we had points. So it doesn't mean that every time everybody scores. But, look, obviously it's a little bit more entertaining than having the dud that we had offensively after the fact. So I don't know if that's just credit to the defense or what. But Dallas fumbles on first down at the Philadelphia 10 with 4:44 to go in the third quarter. And then we have a 65-minute delay. And then after that, it's 5 straight punts, turnover on downs, and then Philly takes a knee. During that 65-minute delay, I was scrambling for my Sunday Night Football 2 deep. And any of you that had the over in this game, which was 47.5, when you're sitting there at 24-20, you really hate lightning today. So we opened the game with at least the field action with Jalen Carter spitting on Dak. Turned into a lot of what's up with this guy. The rep coming out of Georgia. I don't know. I'm sure there's some teams that regret not taking him higher than he ended up going, where Philadelphia is like, we have a bunch of vets. We have good players in here. This guy could have been the number 1 overall pick. We're just going to go for it anyway. So I don't, people are trying to connect the two, like, hey, this is why his draft status. And it's like, yeah, and still every other team would take him, even though he spit on Dak. But what we didn't know at the time, because at first you're like, what did Dak say to him? But Dak actually spit towards him. We saw that video later. Dak explained it after the game, where he's like, first of all, he was talking shit to my rookie offensive lineman, Booker, who was a first-round pick. And then he said, Dak was like, I went to spit in between my own linemen. I spit in his general direction. He was like, did you try to spit on me? He's like, I use more colorful language other than, he explained it afterwards in a toned-down version, going, why would I need to spit on you? And then they kind of face off there a bit, and Carter spits on him. And in that moment, once again, proving that I think in the moment, at least with sports, our reaction to anything that needs to be punished is just absurd. We need to all give it 48 hours, but we're never going to do that. Understand that. Because, look, Carter gets thrown out of the game. He's going to get a fine. That's enough. People saying he should be suspended. And then I think with further evidence, at least you understand, even if he was wrong to spit on Dak, you understand why he did it, whether it was a misunderstanding, whether it was him being immature, who cares? Maybe it's all of those things. Maybe it's none of those things. So the feeling that he had to have walking off on the NFL opener on nationally televised TV and then not being there for his team, which, by the way, when Dallas was scoring, was gashing this Philadelphia front. Javonte Williams on the scene with 2 touchdowns. And I'm watching during the scoring portion of this game, because it's kind of the best way to describe it, the scoring version and the zero scoring version. But Philadelphia's D, with all this personnel, even without Carter, there's just a lot of names I was looking for during this free-for-all that Dallas was putting together. And granted, we'll get to Philly's offensive output here as well because they won the game. But during this time, like, there was an 11-yard run by Williams on first down that set it up for the second touchdown where, I mean, I couldn't believe he got 11 yards out of that. Like, where are these guys? Like, I realize Carter's gone, but, like, how come Jordan Davis isn't doing something? Nolan Smith, they don't hear his name for a little while. Until we do hear it, it's a tackle for a loss, but then he gets a taunting penalty. Quinyon Mitchell, who we'll get to the rest of his night, when you don't hear his name, that's probably a good thing with a corner. Cooper DeJean, like some of these other guys, I think Zach Bond was getting there, getting some pressure, but it's just such a loaded two deep when this team is right that you would think, is Dallas just going to move the ball on these guys whenever they want? And CeeDee Lamb, despite the disappointing end of this game, anytime it seemed like Dak needed some kind of escape valve, CeeDee was just always open. I mean, the guy's a stud. There's just not a long list of receivers that are ahead of him, even though, understandably, everybody's very disappointed with how this game closed out. Then you also had Dallas targeting Adoree Jackson. That holding penalty on CeeDee in the end zone was just, I mean, laughable. He pulls his whole chest plate down and then is looking around going. So anyway, Dallas ends up fumbling. There's some other plays in here where I think, eventually with Philadelphia's defensive guys in the second half of this game, where you started to see Mitchell make some plays, even though he dropped a pick that he should have had. Zach Bond's tackle on Sanders had me looking up Sanders' 40 time last night because a linebacker shouldn't catch a running back from behind. Sanders runs a 4.49 at the combine. Zach was at 4.65 at the combine, but he caught up right to him. And that ended up being a huge part of, because normally you'd expect the running back, especially to run away from a linebacker in that spot. So who knows how this game ends up. Jordan Davis, started seeing him a little bit more. And obviously Philadelphia's defense responded and they weren't going to just be able to run it right up the middle. But as that was happening, I was wondering, like, are you going to have Dallas, because of Dak and because of the weapons, because of CeeDee, because of Pickens and Ferguson and this O-line, like, are they going to use this O-line to wear down a Carterless defense? Or did it feel like the defense for Philadelphia reset and then the O-line for Philadelphia ended up winning this football game by being able to convert a bunch of third downs? Because we need to get to Jalen Hurts. In this game, the 2 touchdowns, 14 carries, 62 yards. He started the game 5 of 5 on third downs. And if I had to point to one thing that decided this football game, and there's a bunch of different things that we can get to, you can say this is more important. For me, in my opinion, the most important part of this was the scrambling ability of Hurts and breaking down any kind of stop that the defense for Dallas thought they were going to get in some of these plays. Like, there's the third down where he ends up making a linebacker, which I didn't understand because they showed us the end zone angle of this. And I'm like, are they going to bring a spy in on Hurts? Because Hurts is starting to burn them a little bit, right? But a linebacker, inside linebacker, trailed a route in front of him that was past the sticks to double team the receiver. And Hurts sees it and he's gone. The linebacker tries to recover to contest against Hurts. He ends up getting juked, falls down, completely out of play. Hurts another first down. So Hurts did a great job of balancing what the offense needed at that time. Then we saw a couple of tush pushes later on. And even though there looked like there was a pretty healthy spot on one of them, nobody was able to stop it. And 2 votes away from changing this, which, again, I'm kind of on the fence about whether or not I think it should or shouldn't happen. I guess I'm probably sick of talking about whether or not it should or shouldn't happen, but it didn't happen. And Philadelphia is the best at it, even though I thought it was funny that Mailata had told the broadcast how much he hated it after the 5th one. He's like, put the camera on me because we hate it too. But it works. And there was another play too with Hurts where it wasn't just about a completion. It wasn't just about gaining yardage on the ground. It was about his escapability in the face of pressure, where it may not have even been a positive play, but it was about him avoiding a massive negative play. Like Diggs, corner blitz, gets to him, but, it's Hurts. So he's still not 100% sure of how he wants to attack it. He misses the tackle. I don't know why. I hope he was smiling at Hurts because he missed him. And he was kind of like, man, I thought I had you and I got away from you, as opposed to Diggs celebrating that he forced some kind of incompletion, because it should have been a sack. It should have been a loss of yards. But those are the kinds of plays that don't necessarily show you that he did anything great as far as a completion or a big run. But he had a lot of that happening last night. I thought Dallas was getting better pressure than the final numbers would indicate. And again, in a losing cause here, but it didn't matter because whenever Hurts was disrupted, Not to say that he was completing a lot of stuff. He was actually avoiding sacks. So I thought that was a huge part of this. Dak, on the other side, he was aggressive in this game. I like the aggressiveness. 1st and 22 to Ferguson. This is before the fumble. Incomplete, but he just went for it. 3rd and 22, throws it to him again. The penalty on Ferguson, the penalty on Blankenship, defenseless receiver Ferguson on that one. The live part of it looked a lot worse than the replay, so I can understand why the refs threw the flag, even if on the replay, maybe I didn't like it as much. And then look, he has the CeeDee drop on 1st down with 2:47 left. I did think that they should have run a play before the 2-minute warning, unless they didn't like the look. Because if you play out the timeout math and then everything, it's like, well, if you end up having to punt, wouldn't it have made more sense to get the 2-minute warning, then the 3 timeouts, then you have the extra timeout to try to figure out a way to save some of this. So I don't know what was going on there, if it was we don't like the look, or if they thought we're just taking a 2-minute warning and we still have our 3 timeouts. It doesn't really matter. I still think in the back of your head, somebody on the sideline has to be like, look, if we don't convert on 4th down, as much as the game is probably over, is there a way to salvage a timeout? Maybe. It's just something I thought about there. But you've got the CeeDee drop. That was the huge one with 2:47 left. It's an unbelievable throw. He's got the post. They've got somebody on the seam that's kind of bringing the safety down a little. So CeeDee I know it sucks because he had that drop. He had a drop earlier. And then on the last play on the 4th and 4 or 4th and 3, where Dak went for CeeDee one-on-one down the left sideline, that's a really, really tough catch. I mean, he lays out, tries to hang on to it. Even if he secures the catch, I don't know if he secures it all the way through the collision he was going to have with Earth after it. So I know it wasn't a great night for him, but he's going to have a great season. And I do like Dak's aggressiveness, even if there was a Mitchell pick that he should have had, even if there was another throw into double coverage there late. That was a little dicey. But it really was Hurts. It was the O-line. And I don't really look at this as I have all this blame other than that CeeDee catch, I guess. But maybe it's that all of us collectively looked at Dallas going like, yeah, I guess they could get into the playoffs, but nobody's ever really taken them seriously going up against the best team in the conference at their place, banner night, and the delay. Like, I don't think Dallas should be getting beat up all week after a loss like that. But Hurts, again, felt like the difference in a non-huge statistical night. Okay, before we jump to Willie Colon here, let's bring in Ceruti. He's got 32 questions, 32 NFL teams. I have 17 minutes. Good luck.
We're going to rip through these.
Let's see.
All right. I'm just going to go division by division. These could be one-word answers, too. We could just roll. If you want to spend a little bit more time, you can. Bills lost 2 of the last 5 years in the AFC title game, 4 of the last 5 to the Chiefs. Do you think they have a better, worse, or the same shot as the Super Bowl as the 5 past years?
I mean, it's still about Mahomes probably as much as it is about them. And then you can throw in Burrow and Lamar. So I like the team better this year. I thought last year was a bit of a reset year, and they still were terrific. I have a hard time believing they're going to replicate the turnover margin. They were plus 24 last year. They had only 8 giveaways. They also had incredible continuity in the offensive line, which is a question. So I do think they're better. They may have a worse record, but Super Bowl chances has just as much to do with everybody else in the AFC than them.
All right, Pats. Do they have the best shot of anyone in the division to knock the Bills off the top spot?
Out loud, that sounds ridiculous because I probably still like Jets personnel. I mean, it's a Drake May has this roster because I think I don't know, 2 years ago, it might have been the most ridiculously boring roster in the entire league. And if they added enough, so it's a huge Drake May thing. I'll still say healthy Miami is the best chance. Healthy Tua, personnel-wise, they have a better chance than New England.
All right, speaking of the Dolphins, is Mike McDaniel kind of a fraud head coach, or do we just get bored of him?
We're more bored than he would be a fraud. But it was pretty clear because he's a little different. And the thing that was celebrated is that he was different. He was weird. It's like, man, he likes rap. This is awesome.
He's wearing joggers?
Yeah. This guy, look at those shades. It's something you'd see in Scarface. So you knew all that was going to work against him towards the end. But his job was to fix Tua. That was a coaching staff prior to him that didn't trust Tua. It's my red zone thing. You see the play calling, and you're like, oh, my God, they don't trust Tua at all. And instead, McDaniel just feeds him the royal jelly And whatever you think of Tua, because I still think there are limitations there, he fixed the Tua asset part of this. So I don't think he's a fraud. He'll likely get fired if they're not healthy again. He'll probably be a great offensive coordinator for a little while.
They do win when Tua's healthy, too. All right, Jets. Do you have any hope left for Justin Fields?
No, but I'll tell you, the Fields Army, you are the strongest supporting fans based on the least amount of evidence that you're right of any quarterback I can ever remember.
What's the line? God gives his strongest or his toughest battles to his hardest soldiers, or what? I'm screwing it up, but that's Justin Fields and his fans. Bengals. Is Joe Burrow the most likely guy to win MVP, not name Mahomes, Allen, or Lamar?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless Washington has an incredible year with all the momentum that Jaden has. I mean, if as a non-quarterback, could there be somebody? I mean, is Saquon going to match what he did last year and feel like, hey, let's give it to somebody else? Like, I always never underestimate the boredom part of it in voting, but I don't really know. I mean, you could be offering up somebody else, but odds-wise, I'd imagine it's Burrow. So yeah,
he is the odds-on favorite. Jaden is 5th. Jalen Hurts 6th. So yeah, Vegas would tell you. FanDuel would tell you yes.
Hurts is probably not going to have the statistical stuff ever that is going to get enough voters. And fair or unfair, but people are going to look at that roster and that he's not tasked with carrying a team the way Burrow is. So
the first non-QB is Saquon. He's way down there, plus 6,000. Ravens. Are they top to bottom the best team in the AFC?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I want to see what happens with this Kansas City receiving core. There's so many guys in Kansas City's defense that I do really like. They've changed over this O-line with Mahomes now a third time. So clearly they've had issues after the Tampa loss, after the Philly loss. They kind of deserve the benefit of the doubt. Like if Kansas City, it's like the old Spurs thing. When Kansas City likes somebody, I'm like, okay, well, then it confirms it. But the secondary for Baltimore, finally having receivers, running back, O-line, all that kind of stuff. And I think the D-line just kind of gets overlooked as a unit for Baltimore because there aren't maybe the name brands. There's not that one guy that so many other teams have. So, yeah, I would say yes.
Steelers. And I'm stealing this from Craig Horlbeck of the Fantasy Show because I thought it was intriguing. Is it possible that we're just underestimating Aaron Rodgers, like that he's just going to suck? Like, could he be good? Because, I mean, I'll spend a little more time on this one. 40, coming off an Achilles. Like, it's not terribly surprising he was awful last year. Most guys off an Achilles aren't good. And are we just assuming too much saying he's going to suck?
If he weren't turning 42 in December, then I would be buying up more Rodgers stock. The same way I was when you had the 18 and 19 seasons where there was a push to be like, this guy's not the guy anymore. And there were some numbers that you could look at. I forget if it was like throws outside the numbers. There was some stuff that looked like it was alarming and trending in the wrong direction. Then he won MVP back-to-back seasons in 20 and 21 at 37 and 38 years old. The problem is it's been 4 years since he's been really good. Okay. His last year in Green Bay, he was 26th in QBR. So that's 17-game season. So it's been 4 years since he's been special. And I don't think he's going to suck, but I don't look at him as this difference maker, this elevator, even though Pittsburgh, even in the most down years, still finds a way to have a good record.
Browns, does Shador start at least one game this season?
Yes. Yeah. The starter, they're not going to be good enough for the starter to start it all season. Dylan Gabriel can be higher on the depth chart. They'll probably just start Sanders to give in a little bit. And then that can turn into its whole thing. Because I'll tell you, that Sanders talk, it speaks to the void of content. But the Sanders conversation, because I wasn't around for a lot of it, that was some of the dumbest shit that I've seen in a long time.
All right, Texans. Are they the product of a terrible division or are they a legit AFC contender?
Legit AFC contender is, I mean, it's kind of two different questions. I don't think they're a legit AFC contender until I see what the O-line looks like. It's considered maybe the worst group in the entire league. And I still really like CJ Stroud, the rookie year into last year. Like, I don't go, he's been derailed. It's heading in the wrong direction. But AFC contender with those other heavy hitters. So maybe it's an easy division, but I don't even okay, yes, it's an easy division, but then I can't take the next step until I see what the protection is like for this offense, because it was bad last year.
Titans, what chance would you give Cam Ward as being a better number 1 pick than Caleb Williams?
Oh, ouch. That Sando thing shook my world. It was like, how many guys don't like Caleb? He's like, it's not like 5. It was like 20 people that were really down on him after watching the tape. So because Cam Ward hasn't played yet, and because, Cam's probably like his persona is something that people are way more into than Caleb, because most of the negativity that I heard about Caleb before even the draft was like, are you doubting him because anything he does in the field, or are you doubting him because you just don't like, that he paints his nails and he cried? Because I think that has way more to do with it. But I'll put it at 25%. I'm not giving up on Caleb.
Okay.
Despite Sando's blitzing of negativity.
We'll get to Caleb a little bit later. Colts. This is not really a Colts question, I guess, but it's like, it seems like Anthony Richardson's done there. Would you trade anything of significance for him?
No, and I don't think I would have drafted him. So, I mean, you're talking to somebody who like lost out in the fantasy world last year going, what are you guys doing? And then, of course, it's like, well, fantasy's different than the NFL. I'm like, I'm aware, but you guys have him like ranked number 2. People are taking him like 5th overall. He's thrown 348 passes. He's completed 51%. The numbers aren't very good, but it's just, I thought he was, as far as like a guy who's supposed to be a guy, I thought it was the worst quarterback play of anybody that was still holding out hope. I imagine he's probably going to start again, but I wouldn't trade anything for him. He was a project when he was drafted.
Speaking of still holding out hope, Jaguars. Is this the last year before Trevor Lawrence, like we officially say, hey, you're probably a bust?
Yep. Yeah, I liked him a lot as a prospect. I mean, it just seemed like he had everything. And even the rookie bumps, you're like, okay, this is part of it. It's very normal, even a top pick. And then it seemed to get worse. Here's his QBR rankings the last 4 years: 16th, 17th, 17th, 28th.
Not great.
Just
Chiefs.
not a lot of year 6 guys.
This is the year. Hey, Liam Cohen, Duval, what's up? Chiefs, do you buy the offseason hype? I already know the answer to this, but I just want to ask you. Do you buy the offseason hype that they needed this Super Bowl loss and they're now hungrier because of the loss?
Okay, I know what you think I'm going to do and dismiss any of the public, 2 of my least favorite words, narrative and discourse. But we had Gronk on and asked him about losing to Philly, and he's like, we were so mad. We were so, especially if you were on offense after that Philly Super Bowl loss. He's like, we were so mad the entire year. So I don't know that anybody's like, hey, I'm really glad we lost that Super Bowl. I guess even last night they shared a bit that Andy Reid had said, I don't know, it was Jason Garrett, because there was a lot of coverage during that delay where he was like, they felt tight, whatever. It's just weird that this team could be through so many of these seasons and then be tight in a Super Bowl. Like that should, if anybody should feel really comfortable in a Super Bowl, it's Kansas City Chiefs. But it's funny how the Mahomes thing is done like year to year. And then if you look at the full Brady thing, you go, so there was this massive gap and then they did this or whatever. Like the normal thing is for Mahomes to have a bunch of disappointments if he's going to do this for 20 years. As great as he is, and anybody writing them off, I would like write off their opinion. So there's probably more motivation to this than maybe you thought I would give them credit for.
All right. Chargers, are they closer to the top or the bottom of the division?
That's really a Denver question. So I go KC 1 and then Vegas. Like, what do you like better? Do you like Denver's O-line and defense better, or do you like Harbaugh and Herbert better? I like Harbaugh and Herbert better, even though I can totally understand with the defense, the O-line, all that kind of stuff. I mean, there's some unbelievable Denver defensive numbers from last season. You go, hey, Peyton Nix year 2. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say, but I'll stick with Harbaugh and Herbert. Yeah.
So I just go to the Broncos now. My question for them was, are they more, because I feel like there's no more hype team, maybe the Packers, but there's no more hype team than the Broncos. My question was going to be, do we just like them because Sean Payton's friends with everyone in the media? But that's not going to be my question. You can answer it anyway. My question is, are they more likely to win the division or finish last? Because there's people picking them to win the division.
Yeah, I've met Peyton millions of times. I would say picking them to win the division is trying to be different. I just don't know how you would pick anyone over Mahomes ever. Like I'm telling you right now, I'm picking the Chiefs with Mahomes to win the division every year he's there.
Penn. Raiders. I did kind of struggle to ask a Raiders question. This might be dumb, but is Genty in Vegas just Saquon of the Giants 2.0?
I don't think Gentie's Saquon. I mean, Saquon was, I mean, it sounds dismissive of Genty, but Saquon was like one of the best football players I've ever seen at Penn State. And it was at Penn State. So, I'm sorry that factors into it a little bit. The draft guys like him just as much. So I can't do that to Saquon.
All right, NFC. Let's start with the Eagles. Obviously played last night, but are they still top to bottom the best team in the NFL?
Yes. Feels like Baltimore could be in the conversation. And, part of the open was just, hey, look at all these guys on defense, all these names, all these guys who expect to be really good. And why are they giving up 20 points to start this game? You just say it's week 1 or whatever. But I'll tell you, like, throughout the game, throughout any Eagles game, when you're just reminded of what the O-line is, what the top 3 receivers are, the tight end, the running back combo, all the different D-line. Now, there could be a little, like, married to the name and draft pick and brand of where some of these guys have come from, but I think it's the most talented roster. Yeah.
Cowboys, is their offense good enough to get them into the playoffs alone?
Yeah. I think we saw that last night.
I agree. I think that, I like Dak. I'm just going to say it. I think he's good. Commanders, would you take Jaden over any NFC quarterback to start a franchise with right now?
So only the NFC. So that means...
Yeah, so we're taking out Allen, Lamar, Mahomes. Like, it's just not fair.
So that means Hurts, Caleb, Jordan Love, Spencer Rattler is probably on that list. And then Purdy.
Jackson
Goff.
Dart.
Yeah, if you really love Jackson Dart. Somebody would say Jackson Dart on a TV show. Just that Goff is older would be, the reason why I'm not listing him here. Man, it feels really stupid to say what I'm going to say, but I'm still going to take Caleb. I'm going to be stubborn.
Wow. That's damn. I did not think you were going to say that. I think, I would say Jordan Love, maybe Jalen Hurts are probably the 2 other consensus guys, but damn. All right. Caleb, not selling any stock. All right. Giants. Is Dable
the entire
a bad
NFC?
Coach?
That's one of the dumbest answers I've ever had, because I turned it into a Jaden Caleb thing, and really it should be
surprised me.
Hurts should be the answer before Caleb. So I'm gonna I changed that into an answer that I didn't want it to. So
you're taking Hurts.
I would take Hurts. Yeah, even though I still think that there's a limitation. Well, maybe I'm not even sure if I'm man, you really got in my head on this one. Did you hear that latest Russillo podcast? I've never heard of that. Unsure of himself. What's going on over there? Yeah. Well, it's not Rattler. Love's had one okay year, and we got excited.
We'll get to Love in a little bit. Yeah, we'll get to. I got a Love question coming up. All right.
It kind of feels like Jaden has to be the answer, but I can't take Caleb over Hurts. So now it's just 3 different people with a gun on each other. So let me just say Hurts.
Yeah, it's just kind of the state of the NFC in general, but I think it's a fair answer. All right, Giants. Is Dable a bad coach, or does he just have bad quarterbacks? Speaking of Jackson Dart, maybe he won't have a bad quarterback. I kind of like Dart. I can't lie. I only asked this because we love Dable in Buffalo, right? We loved him. Remember the first year with the Giants, everyone was like, "This guy, like, oh man, like he's so great." Everyone was singing his praises because what he did with Daniel Jones, and then now it's like this guy's an idiot and he's trash. Like, I just kind of think it's like he hasn't had a good quarterback since he's been there. Like, is that fair to at least just acknowledge in talking about him overall as a head coach?
He's a good coach. He's done a bad job. The team has gone 9-7, 6-11 to 3-14. Their offensive and defensive numbers collectively, like, they're all in the bottom third on both sides of the ball. I'm sure you can find some number in there that you feel good about, but they're generally overwhelmingly not great. And it was a Buffalo offense that it went from 30th and 24th to number 2 and number 5, and then he gets the job. So if Belichick brings him in, if Saban brings him in, that's enough for me to think that he's actually just a terrible head coach. But the results are the results. So I don't think he's terrible, but it's going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I guess they do have their defensive line is insane. So it's not like they don't have guys, but a lot of people kind of sneaky like the Giants this year. Not like to, do anything crazy, but maybe go over their win total.
But it does seem funny that everybody's just waiting for Wilson to lose the job.
Yeah. Yeah. which has to be a weird spot to be. And then Jameis is just kind of hanging out, just doing Jameis things. What a weird quarterback room. Wonder if they hang out.
No.
Probably not. Lions more likely to win the Super Bowl or miss the playoffs?
Win the Super Bowl. The roster. There's no way that roster, I mean, unless their defense fell apart health-wise last year. So I love the roster way too much. So I'd say Super Bowl.
Packers. Is Jordan Love over, under, or properly rated? I don't know. I like him, but you mentioned it, the 1 year, and he's he's the second highest paid quarterback in the league. Like there's a lot of, and a lot of people are picking him to win MVP, them to make the Super Bowl, to win the Super Bowl. It just feels like there's a lot of Jordan Love buy-in, and I want to buy in too. I'm just not sure I'm there.
But then I think there was a lot of like buy out on him last year. Being like, this guy sucks, So I don't know if it was an injury thing. The salary things can always be a little frustrating because it's almost like Jaylen Brown. Like this guy has the highest contract, and it's like, okay, but a lot of times it depends on what you're eligible for and when you're eligible for it. So there always ends up being a couple quarterbacks that have an average annual salary based on the timing of their deal where you're like, how come that guy's getting paid more? It was like, oh, okay, but it's all because of when they sign, and then they're going to be surpassed by whoever, because as we know, the cap has gone up. So because there have been such extremes, I would say in less than 12 months with him, that means he's properly rated because it feels all over the place.
Yeah, equal parts on both sides. Vikings. Do you think JJ McCarthy will be good?
The draft guys loved him. I do think McShay has a good track record with this stuff. Yes, I know he's made mistakes. You don't need to send him to us. But the more he watched JJ when Todd was on with us regularly, he would come back going, man, I just watched this JJ. Like there were moments where I think he was surprised how impressed he was, because we know at Michigan, he just wasn't asked to do that much. So it was harder for me because I wasn't like an evaluator of this whole thing. It's like, well, you don't really need him because of the defense, the way they run the football, and Michigan's approach that year, winning a national championship. So then you add in that this team, by the way, you want to talk about, has there ever been a team that went 14-3 that people hate more than the Vikings? Because when it fell off the way it did the last two games, it's like, yep, this team's a fraud. Darnold sucks. They can't actually do this. And then Darnold moves on. Do you know how much they must think of JJ to make that decision for a team that went 14-3, despite how disappointing and felt like being exposed? It wasn't just that they were losing games. It was like the entire season was exposing these frauds.
But wasn't that the best case scenario, that game where they just get absolutely embarrassed in their first playoff game? And it's like, all right, well, okay, now we were on the fence, and now we have an easy out to just go to the guy we drafted, in the first round, this year. So I actually think they kind of got a little get out of jail free card there because they didn't have to pay Darnold. And I think people just think the Darnold to Seattle thing is going to be a mess too. So
this is based more on the circumstantial evidence that for everything that they've done, whether it's drafting him and then making this move after this, and then some of the draft guys, like on second viewing of JJ on a breakdown and not just watching Michigan games on Saturday, it seems like a lot of smart people think this guy's going to be really good. And I would probably go to that as opposed to just me watching him play at Michigan, because he just, again, wasn't asked to do a ton.
All right, let's pick up the pace. Bears. Have you thought about becoming a Bears fan again with Ben Johnson at the helm?
Thought about it. Obviously, I'm still holding out to this Caleb stuff. But I don't know. That was a tough one. That was a tough one last year. Like, I'm getting way too mad about challenges, not challenges. I hadn't felt that way in a long time. And I was like, I don't know if I like this. I kind of miss it, but I don't know if this is healthy. So I might just fair weather this one.
Okay.
Talk to me week 10. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Bucks. Can they actually win the NFC?
Never get enough credit. Feel like a real stable franchise, but I don't see them at the Philly level. I don't see them at the Detroit level. I don't know what to do with Minnesota, but I would say at least Philadelphia and Detroit. I mean, sure, can they? But it feels like there's two teams that have better rosters that are in their way. And it's like, are you going to get through that? Are you going to get through? Maybe you get lucky and you only have to face one of them. And it likely would be on the road. But yeah, they don't get enough credit, but it doesn't mean that I have to then pick them to win the NFC to prove what a hipster I am.
I've seen a few people taking him. It surprised me.
Good for them.
Love Baker, but yeah, good for them. Falcons. Is this the year Kyle Pitt breaks out? No, I'm just kidding. Is this Falcon situation? Yeah,
you were serious. Yeah, it's like who?
No. We had we do this like collective. This will be quick. We do this collective thing where all my buddies take a future and we parlay it. So like, basically, like we track it throughout the year. And one of my buddies was like, "Man, I really like Kyle Pitt's 750 plus yards." And I was like, I will not be putting any of my hard-earned money on a parlay with Kyle Pitts in it. Like I'm just drawing the line here. I'm not being a bad friend. I just feel like we can't do this.
I think you're right. I can't believe somebody's still doing. I mean, that's going to be the Trevor Lawrence thing. Like, do you think if he has another below average season, there'll be somebody on a national network that'll be like, I think this is the year Trevor Lawrence breaks out. Second year in this system.
Yeah. Liam Cohen's got his hands on him again. There'll be something. My actual Falcons question is like they're at least on offense. Like they've got some dudes like Drake, Bijan. It's Bijan now, right?
Yeah.
The offensive line's pretty good. I like Mooney. Is this Falcons situation on offense actually the best situation of any of the first round quarterbacks last year for Penix? So you're talking like obviously JJ with KOC in Minnesota with Justin Jefferson. I don't think we'd put the Bears in there. Jaden, I don't think his situation's awesome. It's fine, but I don't think he has the weapons that Penix has.
Bo Nix.
Who else am I missing? Bo Nix, yeah, but I mean he gets Sean Payton. Good offensive line.
I don't think you can put anything. Because nobody looked at Jaden's situation last year and was like, what a great situation. We actually would, if we were going to rank it of all of these quarterbacks that were taken in the first half of the first round, that was going to be near the bottom. I mean, Drake Mays probably had to be the worst after that, Belichick roster that they were bringing in.
It just feels like, and I don't know this because I don't play Madden, but it feels like the Falcons would be like a fun team that dudes would just use on Madden online because they just got a lot of dudes that are fun to play with.
Yeah, is it Bo Nix because of the O-line?
And Peyton, yeah.
And Peyton. Bo Nix and Peyton. I would go with that, even though you're right. The fun things, the fun toys, it seems like Atlanta has them more than... But it's not like Chicago, whether it's the investment in the O-line this year or what you thought they had. It's like, hey, look what they did at tight end. Look what they've done at receiver here. They draft Rome. Now we're taking too long on all this thing. I really like the question, but I think I'm going to go Denver's O-line and Peyton being your mentor.
Panthers, will Bryce ever be an above average NFL quarterback?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. I hope so. I like him. Saints, is there any reason to pay attention to this team at all?
Yeah, their home games are fun, and a lot of NFL stadiums suck.
Okay. Rams, is Sean McVay the best coach in the NFL? Not resume, not like whatever. Like it's just like, is he just? I think he's the best coach in the NFL right now. And I don't know if you agree.
I was reading a Nate Tice piece on Yahoo, and by the way, his stuff is just terrific. Like he explained the evolution of all the Shanahan coaching tree things, and then talked about like this is kind of what their default setting was, and then this is how they've changed some of the running schemes, and kind of like went off on all the different branches. And like anybody that studies McVay, they're kind of in awe of, and even if he felt like, okay, you go back to the Super Bowl where feel like Belichick just completely figured him out, and he was a little bit too predictable. But yeah, Andy Reid is tough to compete with, especially when you're talking resume with all that stuff. The recency part of it, I don't know that I've ever heard anyone say like Nick Sirianni is now the best head coach, but I wouldn't.
Didn't somebody just say Nick Sirianni and Hurts are the modern day Brady and Belichick? It's like we gotta calm down a little bit. Too much TV time too many hours to fill.
That's I don't know. You got like 18 years and a handful of Super Bowls. But
we almost fired Sirianni last year.
Yeah. I know. Everybody thought this guy was going to be fucking gone by week 8. Although I would say when Belichick was hired in New England, there wasn't necessarily a ton of people thinking that was going to happen. So, I'm gonna say McVay, and I can't tell anybody else they're wrong about maybe 2 or the 3 other options, but he's on the short list.
49ers. This is a wild stat. Since 2003, they've either missed the playoffs or made the NFC Championship game. So which one is more likely?
Make the NFC. Yeah.
Why do their players always get hurt every year? It's like
it's unbelievable.
It's just I'd be pretty bummed if I was I don't know. They're pretty thin, man. If they lose a couple guys like they always do, I don't know. I was buying into them earlier, then now I'm just like, stay away. That's just for betting purposes. All right, Cardinals. And we may have done this before, but I'm just going to do it again. Is Kyler Murray the Trae Young of the NFL?
We're going to do this again where we do the quarterbacks and NBA players. I don't know. Maybe we give it a couple of weeks. I think it's kind of fun to go back and look at all this stuff. I don't know that Arizona fans love Trae Young as much as Atlanta fans love Trae Young. Okay. And to be fair to Trae, he's at least done something, had one playoff run, which is, some of those playoff runs, conference finals appearance can be really misleading. They can be a little fluky, but he was the most comfortable player on the floor during that Philadelphia series and kind of wrecked, that might be the end of like the Philadelphia thing. And we were years ahead of it actually happening, but who knows? Then they lose to Milwaukee, not that big of a deal, but there's a defense of Trae in Atlanta that I would say exceeds a defense of Kyler Murray in Arizona. And Kyler, who, I've gone through the cycles of it I have no idea. Hey, I actually really kind of like this guy. Then I really didn't like him.
I can't quit him.
You can't quit him.
Trae
plays. Yeah, Trae plays. So I don't
like Trae, so I'm like being a hypocrite. Totally. I get it. I just don't know why I like Kyler. I do.
I don't think Kyler's done enough to actually be considered a Trae, despite how we both feel about Trae. So a little pro Trae Young stuff for you here in September.
All right, last one, Seahawks. I kind of struggled with this one, but I guess, is it more likely they're a playoff team or a total disaster with Sam Darnold?
I have no idea what to do with this roster.
I don't either.
Whatsoever. So I would say more likely that it doesn't work out.
Good defense.
There's some guys in the defense that I do really like. Shout out to Witherspoon. Shout out to Illini football.
Yes.
Shout out to Smallman.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She's excited. They're back.
All
right, that's it. Good times.
I had a great time. The Ryen Russillo podcast is brought to you by FanDuel. Ready to fire up your Saturdays? FanDuel's got a boost you don't want to miss. It's called Boostin' with the Boys, and it's giving everyone a college football profit boost every single week. Okay, one game in particular I was looking at, especially after the Baylor-Auburn game, I was curious to think like, all right, what's Baylor going to be at with that opening loss? Tough opponent on the road at SMU, 17th ranked team in the country. I think it opened at Baylor plus 4.5, so I liked it more than plus 2.5 today on the board. Another game that I like, I'm going to take a favorite in this one, Ole Miss minus 8.5 at Kentucky. But the one play is Baylor plus the 2.5. I do think they have a good chance to win that game outright. So here's how it works. Each week, we're giving everyone a profit boost to use on college football. No opt-in gymnastics, no invite-only nonsense. Everyone gets the boost. We're talking real games, real teams, real Saturdays with an extra payout on the line. It's easy, it's fun, and it's only on FanDuel. Go to FanDuel.com/Ryen, R-Y-E-N, to download the app and check out the Boostin' with the Boys offer and get in on the action. Must be 21 and older and present in select states, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Opt-in required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. This episode is brought to you by NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV. NFL Sundays are back, and you won't want to miss the action. NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV lets you carry every game, every Sunday, all in one place. And now get NFL Sunday Ticket month to month and cancel anytime. Head to youtube.com/Russillo and sign up now. Local and national games on YouTube TV. NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games. Excludes digital-only games. Base plan required. Renews every month during the 2025 regular season only. Your membership for the following month can be canceled anytime before your renewal date. Terms, restrictions, and embargoes apply. Commercial use excluded. I'm excited to do this. We love having him on. We'll have him on throughout the football season. It's Willie Colon, SNY. And you're doing some Good Morning Football, right, with NFL Network?
Yeah, I'm jumping on Good Morning Football. I'm actually on Monday and Tuesday of next week, and I've been doing a lot of stuff with First Things First, Nick Wright's crew, Wilds and Broussard. and Danny Parkins. So I've been jumping on there with them, and tis the season. It's about that time, so I'm excited.
You ever spitting on anybody?
Bruh, no.
Come on.
It's egregious. No, I've never spit on anyone. I've never hated nobody enough. That's not true. But I've never spit on anybody. I played in one of the most fiercest rivalries in all of sports between the Steelers and Ravens, where it was like real deal hatred for each other, but respect. And like even out back and forth, we said a lot of unchristian like things. But I never thought or even had the thought of just cocking my lips back and spitting on anybody. That's just a wild, it's just the most dehumanizing thing you can do to another man. So it was wild to see that happen after another guy, meaning one of your teammates, was literally on the floor injured, right? It was just like the transition from the injury right out the gate to that happening, Jalen Hurts getting ejected, and then like here, football, NFL season underway. It was just like, I don't think that you could have predicted a better script. Not better, but it was just like you just didn't expect it to go that way. So it was wild.
Yeah, I mean, it made more sense though after seeing the Dak part of it, even if it's a massive overreaction. Because it just looked like a completely unprompted, you're just spitting on Dak because you guys are jawing a bit. So even though it didn't look like Dak was trying to spit on him, I at least felt like, okay, well, I understand the origin of this a little bit better.
I still don't. There's a difference between spitting in somebody's direction and then getting spat on. You know what I mean? Like it's just different. At least how I perceive it's just different. Nevertheless, I don't even think Dak is dumb enough to spit on the best defender of the Eagles, who you have to see for 4 quarters. Like, why would you wake up that giant? You know what I mean? Just from a gamesman standpoint. I don't even think that's in Dak's real house. Like, I don't think he's capable of having that type of venom in his blood. So I believe Dak. I watched his presser at the end of it. Everything he said makes sense. I mean, I've been in huddles where I've spit all over the place. And I was one of the guys, anytime I was in a huddle, I'd never face the quarterback. I always had my back to the quarterback and listen to him talk, and I always kept my eyes on the defense because I wanted to see personnel change, right? And so I was always facing the defense. If you go back to any of my tapes, especially with the Jets, Steelers, I always was looking at the defense and had my back to the quarterback, and I would just hear everybody talking or saying X, Y, Z, and then I would just play on. So, and I would always be, going back and forth with a guy, and I never even thought about spitting this direction nor spit on him. But it was just, people spit. It's football. We're men. Like, that's just, a lot of us are spitters. I'm a spitter. So it is what it is.
Let's talk Philly's defense. I don't know if there's some definitive statement after this, and, Carter going down and then having the 2 D tackles had to play like a ton of snaps. I mean, that's 60 plus snaps they're trying to make up for with Carter not being out there. I mean, I'm kind of taking a guess at what a snap total will be for a main guy like that, but especially somebody that's bigger. Usually we look at the defense being ahead of do you think it's ahead of behind the offense? It was just weird with all this personnel that I think we all collectively love for Philadelphia. Again, I don't think there's a definitive statement after one game last night, whatever, and then the delay on top of everything else. But there's a lot of guys on that Philly defense, and I was surprised to see Dallas move the ball so effortlessly against them.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was really hoping for the secondary of the Eagles to show up. I know they had Quentin Minshew at he's the number 1 corner. He was guarding George Pickens. And, I knew Fangio was going to, he likes to match zone with his young quarters. I know that for a fact. And I just expected more of an impact right out the gate. It seemed like once Jalen Carter got ejected, they seemed lost and bewildered a little bit. And I knew there was going to be a regression from a sack point, from a pass rush standpoint, because listen, they don't have Brandon Graham. They lost some key pieces on the defensive line, but
like 2 other pieces too. Yeah.
Right. And so that outfit from what we've seen last season compared to what we saw last night, I walked away from that feeling like, man, the Eagles are in trouble. Like they need more lead in their pencil if they really want to kind of do this thing again. Offensively, I think they look right on par. I know Dickerson got hurt. Was it Juergens or Dickerson, the left guard?
Dickerson,
got hurt. Yeah. Dickerson, yeah. So I know he got hurt, so that's going to hurt him. But overall, I thought offense looked right on par. I thought the defense looked like they regressed.
What did you think of Dak's night?
I thought he looked good, man. He looked lean and trim. CeeDee Lamb owes this man like a steak dinner, like a Rolex. I mean, he just like Dak couldn't have played any better than what he played last night. I thought he was efficient. I thought he was, very decisive with the football. Excuse me. I just liked him. I liked everything that he was able to do. I thought he stood alive in a pocket. I know that one time it looked like Jordan Davis was going to get him down on a sack. He was able to get out of that and kind of make hay, which was great. So I was worried about him. There's one time when he scrambled out of a pocket, man, and you could tell he was trying to dig, and I think he slid. And I was like, man, he's going to end up pulling his hamstring. We forget that this dude is literally coming off a torn hamstring. But you tell he was in fighting trim, man. If you're a Cowboys fan, you have to wake up this morning feeling good about what you saw out of him specifically, right? And I thought that, the Cowboys have a young offensive line. I thought they battled, man. I thought they stood up valid. They didn't have Jalen Carter, so you can't make a full assessment. But for a young group, I thought they stood strong and competed and fought hard.
For all the shit Dak takes on those like 330-yard games, we're like, cool, another 330-yard game, pick at the end, you take the loss, and now you're going to end up with like the second most yards in the season and all that kind of stuff. Because I'm convinced like Dak will retire and we'll still never feel comfortable about thinking about where he slots in with his peers. But I'm glad you said that. I thought he was really good last night. I mean, sure, too. There's some spots. I think there was the throw to the end zone where maybe he could have taken the decision underneath, although I think it was described in the broadcast as like a short first down. And I think by the time that I think it was a tight end would have turned it, there was still like a defender to beat. So I'm not sure that I agreed that it was a certainty that he was going to get first down.
Well, what about that one ball he threw to Ferguson that he almost got Ferguson decapitated? I was like, ugh.
But it was 3rd and 22, and on 1st and 22, he went to Ferguson. And I'm like, I think the aggressiveness, you have to take that. Like there was another play where it was a big down where it looked like he probably could have just run out for the first down to the right side. But like ultimately in the NFL, you're going to have to figure out a way to beat everybody from the pocket. So I think his overall aggressiveness, despite not gaudy Dak numbers that everybody kind of dumps on him, even when he gets them, if they don't win the game,
right.
I'm with you. Like I think there's far more bright spots. And the fact that, CD becomes the target after that drop, not on the fourth down throw, the first down throw, the deep shot, that's the one. So at least, Dak would probably escape all the local blaming the quarterback coverage on a Friday morning.
Yeah, and I also think, I thought we were going to see, and I thought from a protection standpoint, they did a lot of 6-man protection because I think it was trying to counter what the Eagles were going to try to do from a blitz standpoint. But I thought the Cowboys had a great game plan, man. I thought they looked good. They ran the ball. They were physical. Sucked at Miles Sanders, fumbled that ball. I thought he was actually going to get in on that drive. Would have been great, ex-Eagle. He ended up kind of coughing it up. And I think Collinsworth did a great job. If Dak doesn't get that tackle on that interception, that's going to the crib, right? There's nobody stopping him. So overall, man, I think a lot of people are frustrated. CD didn't have the best game valid, but from Dak, offense, at least from an offensive standpoint, even defensively, I thought they kind of bucked up towards the end of the game. I thought the delay kind of took the wind out of their sails a little bit. But overall, I was encouraged by the Cowboys play. I didn't walk out of there feeling like, oh man, the Cowboys are in for a long season. It seems like a lot of people better kind of reassess who they really are. And I think they kind of did a good job of promoting themselves in a positive way last night.
I don't know what CD is supposed to do in that spot.
That's the goddamn ball. That's what you're supposed to do. What do you mean?
I'm talking about after, the Cowboys sucks chance go. It's Philly. He's got the thumbs up. And it's like at that point, no one's taking his side. It's not like he's losing his mind. He's clearly disappointed. I guess I would wonder, like in your playing days, you're an offensive lineman, so you're probably not going up to anybody, but maybe later on in your career in a leadership role. Like I almost would be more bothered by a bunch of teammates coming up to show me how great of a teammate they are by trying to say like the right thing. For the most part, it's just like, leave me the fuck alone, man. Like I'm already dealing with it. It's enough. Did you have anything like that where there was a guy that was like the worst to go up to when you were just trying to be a good teammate?
Oh, that's a good question. Do I have it? No, not really. Nobody I can honestly think of right now. I know we had a guy, I may have mentioned him before, and he was a part of our Super Bowl run. We had a receiver out of Texas by the name of Lyman Swede. who had the case of a drop. So, man, now this kid was a freak athlete. Like, there's nothing he physically couldn't do on this planet. Run, jump, skip, whatever. He was a freak athlete, man. But he had some significant drops in some important situations in games when we were making our run in the Super Bowl. And it messed with him mentally, man. It really did. I remember, I think we were playing the Bengals, and he was at the X, and he ran like a deep post, and he was able to kind of break the top of the defense. And he got through, and Ben lets it fly. Like, it's like a moon ball. And it hits him like right in the bread basket. And he ends up dropping the ball. But on the next day, the post, because I would sometimes grab the paper in the locker room or on the way home, they have him, ball going through the hands. His eyes are like looking somewhere else. And the paper just crushed him. And from that point on, the kid was his mental state was not good. Like, it was rough. I remember it being really, really rough for him from a mental standpoint. And but yet, if you go into that, I think our AFC Championship game against the Ravens in 2008, he had some key blocks in that game. And I think he almost knocked out Corey Ivy, who was a DB for the Ravens at the time. So, but I've seen like those type of drops, like not just hinder a guy physically, but mentally, they can't get out of their own way. So that's the only thing I've seen. But as far as like going up to the guy and kind of talk him out of it, every guy has usually been pretty receptive to that. Some guys need that.
Who's your Super Bowl pick?
Ooh, I ain't gonna bullshit you, Ryan. I don't know. I wish I could sit here and give you one of those like, the Buffalo Bills, and I can see.
Well, let's figure it out. We can do it. We'll do it together right now.
I struggle because I think the Ravens are knocking at the door, and I think Buffalo's knocking at the door. I don't see the Chiefs knocking at the door. I don't. I think the Chiefs, we're going to witness an end of an era with the Chiefs this year. And I know a lot of people think I'm absolutely bonkers for saying that.
I do. Yeah.
But I'm looking at, I think the Chiefs.
What don't you like? Okay. Are you trying to be different, or are you just going like, hey, this is the way sports work? It's cyclical. And when you say end of an era, I assume you mean this group around Mahomes that would then be reinvented 3 or 4 years, and Mahomes is still there. I guess I'm trying to answer for you.
Patrick's going to be good. I think, to your point, I think the group as a whole. I just don't think when you look at the receiving core, Rashee Rice dealing with the suspensions, Hollywood Brown's off and on. They've lost their identity as far as running the ball. He was sacked 36 times last season. I think they were 15th in scoring. There was from 18 and 19, when I thought Patrick Mahomes was like, man, this kid is Jesus Christ in cleats. His in 2018, he threw 50 touchdowns and threw for over 5,000 yards. We forget the AFC Championship; they were offsides away from going to the Super Bowl, right? And they rallied, they bounced back in 19 and won the damn thing against the Niners. But I think last year was just a step back. So a lot of people was like, Willie, they were in the goddamn Super Bowl last year. What are you talking about? But they were what? They were 4 points in a missed block field goal away from being 3-11 or something like that. So it's like they were 11-0 in one score game. So it's hard for me to believe that magic and miracle luck that happened last year is going to happen this year. I just don't believe it. So I don't look at them as like not that they're not a threat, but I have the Broncos winning that division. I think the Broncos are going to be better than them. So that's just my pick as far as that division. But I see Buffalo knocking on the door, and then opens up and they land in the Super Bowl. On the AFC side, NFC side, I think Detroit has to happen for Detroit this year. I think more than ever, especially with losing the masterminds, Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. I still think they got more than enough. I think golf is due. So I got Detroit and Buffalo if I had to really make a choice right now.
Why Buffalo over Baltimore?
That's a good question.
No, it isn't. It's just I know the answer. The answer is I don't know.
If we keep it in a buck, yeah, I don't know. I think Josh Allen. I like Josh Allen the way he's been playing. He's been an MVP candidate for like the last 4 or 5 years. I don't know. I'm just going with Buffalo, and maybe it's part of my bias. I'm a Steeler. I would never root for the Ravens, so that's maybe some hatred in my blood because of that. But that's it. I think I like Josh Allen. And I like the fact that they paid James Cook. They got that out the way. I think Keenan Coleman's going to make a jump in year 2. So we'll see. Shakur, I think he's going to be solid. And you still got Kincaid company. So,
yeah, I'm simply just trying to do something different, although I'm less involved in the momentum of like, the obituary for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I mean the obituary of basically like defaulting to them. So I feel like I'm just picking somebody else and picking Buffalo. The simple, like, I've already kind of said it in some of the other stuff that we've done where I don't know if they're going to be able to repeat the O-line continuity. It'd be mathematically impossible to recreate what they did on the turnover margin thing. But going into 24 with some of the decisions they had made for financial reasons, it felt like 24 was going to be more of like a reset year building to this year in 25. So, everyone's sitting here end of August, beginning of September, assuming best case scenarios for health. And that's kind of like the Niners thing all over again. And then it depends on what you want to look at, like most games lost, most injured, and all those different kinds of things. Like the Niners feel like they deal with this in just dramatic fashion, like every other year with them. But Buffalo is just, hey, it's their kind of time where
that's how I feel. Right.
Yeah. And when you talk about like some of the Mahomes stuff, like the offensive line play alone last year that then came to a head in the Super Bowl, to me, that speaks of like Mahomes' greatness to still figure out ways to get some of this stuff going. Where there were Sundays.
They were money good in situational football. I do not want to take that away from them, and they were solid in the red zone. But I think like I said, I fell in love from a football standpoint of their production in 18 and 19, right? And so when you talk about what they were last year, they skidded by through a lot, right? And
yeah, sure.
So that's just my perception of what they were last year and what they're going to roll into and look like this year or shit tonight against the Chargers. So that's just me. I know a lot of people are just like, you're bugging, which is cool. So, but I think we're watching the decline of the Chiefs.
You think Denver, with all of like, you just love that defense and O-line that much?
Man, I'm a sucker for Nick Bonito. I watched that kid last year, and I was just like, he's a Swiss Army knife. I hate using that because that's like the cliche thing to say for a guy that could do a lot on the field, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But when you watch this kid cover, when you watch his instincts, when you just watch him just be a football player, or if he's coming off the edge and he's versatile in that, and that's from that aspect, I think he's a complete package. Like I wouldn't be surprised if he's Defensive Player of the Year. Like I expect him to have that type of output this year, and it helps that he just got paid too, so you get extra. Hopefully, he matches, but his play matches the contract he just received. So,
what's your expectation for your Steelers?
What's my expectation for my Steelers? Listen, I have them making the playoffs. I have them. The question is, once they get in, what's next? I think that's always going to be. I think they have more than enough on defense. I think the relationship between Aaron Rodgers and Jonnu Smith is going to be interesting to me. I know he's going to get the ball to DK. I think that's going to be a factor. That's going to be a part of the game script each and every week. But how effective can he use Jonnu? And they have an offensive line that's young. Broderick Jones and Troy Fontenot, they're really starting to come along. And it's going to be a lot to see. It's going to be interesting to see how Aaron handles everything around him. Young offensive line, 2 new pieces with Jonnu and DK. And from a health standpoint, how does he hold up? Because there's so much has been talked about his health the last 2 years. I had the opportunity to be in training camp. Go to training camp this summer, and I'm gonna be honest, though, he looked good. And I'm not just saying that I'm not trying to be a homer. I'm just from a guy who was on the field watching him do his thing. He looked healthy. Man, he looked good. He was, it's good to look good in practice, but he also didn't participate in the preseason. I understand that. But just from a guy who I watched prior, the last 2 years and with the Jets, this is a guy look like he got, if he rubbed the fountain of youth, like he put his hands in the fountain of youth a little bit. So we'll see. I thought he looked good. He looked like he lost a couple pounds. He looks like he reminded me of how Dak looked last night. He looks real trim and fit. And he has like a different look about him. So I think, I don't know if this is going to be his last year, but if it is, from getting off the bus, that look test, I thought he looked really good.
You always wonder about his personality and how it gels, but he's such a legend that, sometimes it's like, all right, you don't have to be everybody's favorite guy. Like, just go out there, be the gunslinger on Sunday. And
I think he's okay with that too, Ryan.
Yeah, but I'm saying this as a positive. He's at an age now where, it's one thing if you're like 32 and you're the new guy trying to resurrect your career and then maybe you're not always the easiest dude, and again, so maybe that's his enlightened interpretation of the world, where, some guys are just like, what the fuck are you talking about? And it doesn't mean he's a bad guy or anything. It's just like the way you talk about things, like, whatever, I just want to fucking tackle somebody. You know what I mean? Now he's so much older. I almost think that that's a positive as far as the personality chemistry thing, because it's just like, hey man, we don't have to see eye to eye on anything, because I'm already expecting that there's not going to be that much of a connection. So it was just something I was kind of thinking about, because I do think that over the years, and maybe that's what's made him great, is that he kind of thinks everybody's against him.
Well, it doesn't help when every time you turn on the damn TV, somebody's either going at what he's done in the offseason or what he's done in the locker room, or if he's there's the whole Mike Williams situation where he felt like he kind of threw him underneath the bus. And there's a magnitude of things that kind of build up around his name and who he is as a person. I mean, I do like the fact that when you watch a lot of his interviews, I forgot I was watching, and the reporter brought up some comments Terry Bradshaw made. And the first things out of Aaron Rodgers' mouth was, well, first off, Terry Bradshaw doesn't know me, but if he got to know me, he would know X, Y, Z. And I thought it was poignant because it's true. A lot of us we have these flippant and kind of aggressive and kind of these, and by the way, I've done it. You know what I mean? So let me not pull myself out of the car that I've sat in with multiple people talking about a man I've never had one conversation with or about, with who he is overall. But I just thought it was kind of a moment. I remember watching the interview and I'm like, he's right. Like, we know nothing about this man other than what he's able to do on the field, and off the field, everything is reported, right? And so I give him grace in that aspect. Like, I think we got to pause a little bit because we don't know what Aaron Rodgers has gone through or what he's been through. Everything's been reported. You could talk about the Achilles. You could talk about his will to come into New York last season and really revamp and change the culture, and how all that failed. But I like, at the same time, I give him a lot of credit. When he got to the Jets, I thought he did a great job of immersing himself into the city. He was going to Knicks games, showing up at Yankee games, hanging out with Sauce Gardner, eating pizza. He was turning himself into a New Yorker when a lot of people was ready to kill him because they didn't think he would not lower himself, or he would even put himself in that position. But he did. And things just didn't go the way he planned or the Jets planned, excuse me. So, I just, it's interesting to see what happens with him in the black and gold. I'm assuming it's going to go well. We'll see though.
I'm going Bills too in the AFC, as we've already covered here. And, a lot of the times I'm just like, all right, is there a different way to be different about it? Right. Whether that's Detroit, people love Green Bay. And I don't know.
I was just about to bring, you haven't mentioned Green Bay yet.
No, because I feel like we're going to do more NFC right now. I'm picking Philly to get back there. Buffalo beats Philly in the Super Bowl. So there's my pick, official pick. I've put so much thought and effort into the entire thing. Green Bay, I was looking at Mike Sando, who you have him on for the quarterback tiers. I think this is probably the second time I've referenced him today in the pod, but he had 8 executives, go through and do the AFC and do the NFC. And I think Green Bay ended up being second. I was like, okay, this is turning into the classic recency bias of they added Micah Parsons, but he further explained, I think 5 of the people had voted before the Parsons trade had even happened. Going into last year, I loved Green Bay. I still think Jordan Love, I just have a hard time believing he's this huge mistake.
No.
The receiving group, I was thinking man, there's 4 of these guys that I like. And maybe it never quite felt like any of them obtained some status, or I should say attained a status of okay, that guy's the clear number one. Maybe they don't need that clear number one out of this entire group. There's a lot of guys.
Jaden Reed's trying to get paid, so he needs to step out.
Yeah, I think I just looked at them thinking okay, in 23, whenever I'd watch Packers games, it'll be this guy would have a week, and then the next week it would be this guy, and then it would be so. Then going into 24, I'm look at this group. This is really good. It's still considered one of these overall groups, but I actually think I picked them to make it to the Super Bowl last year, and Love. Even when he was playing, it just felt like a different guy. Now you're a mistake guy. That felt like the thing that I could bank on, especially if the Packers, maybe it was the need of just the quarterback and how most franchises, but maybe it was me giving them too much of the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, if the Packers are willing to step up and just lock this up now, they must know that he's the guy.
Well, I think from a Jordan Love standpoint, I think it's on Jordan Love to really kind of have this big time breakout season, right? Like from this standpoint, I think if he stays healthy and he just stops with the dumb turnovers, right? Like sometimes you just look at him do things, you're like, man, that was unnecessary. You didn't have to do that. I think he's even talked about.
I didn't think he was going to be with that kind of guy, and last year was alarming, right?
Right. Like, but even if you go back from like week 11 and 17, I mean, he had like a 65% completion rate. Like he was humming at a high level. But prior to that, man, he was just so streaky and so many things in that valley. He was dealing with the hand and all this other nonsense. But when he's on, and you're like, man, this kid can go. I think he's even admitted through some interviews that I've watched of him, which is wild because we're asking him to be healthier, that he wants to use his legs more to kind of get him out of tough situations. I'm like, kid, I don't know if you've seen your injury sheet. I don't know if that's the smartest things to do. But overall, I do think if you talk about me liking the Packers to make a run, yes, I see it. But I think it all comes down to Jordan Love and which Jordan Love shows up each and every Sunday. I like the defense led by Halfley. I like the fact that they got Micah. Van Ness, I'm 50-50 on him overall. But I think they're still a good defense. They're going to be a good defense. I mean, they got McKinney. I think he's solid as it comes. So I think they have more than enough. I love the offensive line, big, strong. They're physical. Josh Jacobs is a dog. So, they have enough to make a run. They just have to do it. And it all goes down to which Jordan Love shows up.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at it again as we're going over and some of the advanced stuff, and like the bad throw percentage is higher than it's been. The interception percentage is higher than it's been. But then there's some numbers like you realize he was actually better last year than he was this first full season. Right. I think it was that first full season in 23. You're like, oh, this is really great to build on. And because that didn't happen, then it's, again, treated like a huge disappointment, and the fact that he had the big contract as well. So I understand the Green Bay momentum, but it can't look like that again from the quarterback, even with all the other guys that I like, for me to then go, okay, there's the Philly tier, which I think should be its own tier. There's a Detroit part of it. I don't know if Washington, like that defense, it's so exciting. Right. Go ahead.
They just don't have enough on the edge for them to say like, all right, this defense is going to be legit. They just don't. So you're praying that Jaden Daniels has another significant year like he had in his first year. You just traded Brian Robinson Jr. to the Niners, right? So it's like there's some holes. I mean, they were able to kind of patch up the offensive line, which I think is going to be better than what it was last year. But we got to see. I think there's still a legit question mark around the Commanders. Just because I think they have $75 million. I don't know what it is now. But I think in the start of training camp, I think they had like $75 million in cap space. So there's still room to grow. They just got to beef up the roster. But I think it all comes down to, can they make another magical ride? I don't know. I think people underestimate how much Jaden Daniels rushed last year. Like he was their leading rusher, which is telling to me for a division that, has some really good running backs.
Yeah, in the beginning of the year with the Jaden default to run thing, I was like, okay, this is great and it's working and they're winning these close games. Like that Giants game was when early on, it's like, hey, look what this guy did. I was like, you guys thought that was a good game? And then it just kept getting better and better and better. The Cincinnati throw, the Chicago game, and then the next thing you know, they're winning a playoff game at Detroit.
What about the Philly game? I think that's when he really stamped, when he put the league on notice, when he was able to come back and win that game.
Yeah, that was sick. Maybe it was because of the injuries on Philly's side that I don't think of that. But I'm like going through his entire year, I remember just thinking, okay, but like, is he going to just tuck it and run every time? Because then this guy's going to end up getting killed. And then it turned into like full composure, all of these throws, a guy you can trust. So now it was so impressive as a rookie. You're kind of sitting there going, what's he going to do? Like, are they now a team that you go, okay, they have that part of it figured out, and now we expect them to do really big things. So the fact that they just won a playoff game with this group. Another thing too that I always forget too is Jaden's 24. He's 25 in December.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, but the maturity, the part of it of, why he looks so comfortable. I don't know if that's college and experience and playing in big time games, or the fact that he's like, yeah, I'm just a much older guy. This is,
right.
I'm not.
I don't fool around with you kids. I'm a grown man out here.
Which of the quarterbacks? Let me ask you this. I'll give you Cam Ward, because Ceruti asked me a version of this question. I'll give you Cam Ward, Caleb Williams, Drake May, Bryce Young. Rank them for who you would want.
Cam Ward, Bryce
You just gave me a
Young.
look. Did you want a pen?
I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to test my memory, which I struggle with off the rip, right? I can barely remember my own name sometimes. And you just gave me 5 quarterbacks.
We'll do it again. I'm here for you, buddy.
Okay.
We can, you don't have to hear it just once. This isn't, it's Cam, it's Caleb, it's Bryce, and it's Drake May. So I'm giving you unknowns kind of still. I mean, certainly Cam's an unknown. He hasn't even played.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go Cam at 5.
I'm just giving you 4, I think.
Okay, maybe see. I can't even fucking count. So I got I got Cam at 4. Bryce. So this is gonna be wild. Now I'm playing in my head. So I'm going Cam at 4. I'm going Drake May at 3. I got Caleb at 2, and I got Bryce Young at 1.
You would want Bryce over anyone from that group moving forward now.
I think the way Bryce Young finished last season.
Okay.
I think the way what this man's been through. I something in my stomach said he's gonna have one of them seasons where like let's kind of turn this disc basket. Let's turn. You know, like you had the old hip hop CDs as you're like, man, this shit is trash, and you put it back on a long car ride, and you find yourself jamming to. That's how I feel about Bryce Young. I think we've all thrown him away as this kind of throwaway quarterback. And then I watched him towards the end of last season, and I'm like, man, this kid may have something. Like we felt we loved him in Alabama, and then I watched him last year, and I'm just like, oh, okay. And by the way, I'm a Caleb fan, but I think there's going to be so much expectation on him to deliver, especially with Ben Johnson and Duze. You're talking about DJ Moore. You're talking about Loveland. There's going to be so much on him to produce. I worry about the kid from a neck up level. Is he built to handle that pressure? I'm not worried about his skill set. I think the kid has he has everything you need. I got to worry about from the neck up. Can he step into this role and really be what they need him to be? I think it's unfair also for Bears fans. I think this is a rubber stamp situation where you look at what Detroit did with Ben Johnson and that squad and think it's going to be exactly the same way in Chicago. Like we're bugging, right? People understand Detroit got some dudes, man. Like the Sonic and Knuckles situation, St. Brown, you talk about LaPorta, one of the most best offensive lines in football. Like they got a squad, right? I think they got like 5 Pro Bowlers and 6 All-Pros or the other way around. But they got some legit guys in Detroit. And I think Bears fans are like, well, just take Ben Johnson, just take the brain. You got Caleb, it's going to work. And I'm just like, I don't know. I know they got the whole new, they got Tooney and they got Jonah Jackson on the offensive line. And so they've made some improvements. I just don't know what Ben Johnson did in Detroit is exactly going to happen in Chicago. And I worry about Caleb from the neck up. Not the neck down. I think he has all the attributes. He do a lot. But from the neck up, I don't know if he's going to be as efficient as Jared Goff, who was number 1 against the blitz last season. You know what I mean? So that's where my head is at right now.
I like that. I watch so much college and get to see a lot of these guys. And I wonder, and I'm going to ask, maybe it's going to pivot into kind of like a Ben Roethlisberger question, but I wonder if there's these great quarterback talents, but so much of it is predetermined. Saturday, as much as I love it, like all day long, clap, look to the sideline,
right?
And it's like, okay, I'm checking, and it's like how they're signaling it. This is what you want to look for or whatever. So that there might be less like freedom. And I'm not even talking about like play calling or checking into anything, but just the lack of freedom of vision of like, I'm only supposed to look for this one thing. If the safety does this, then it's this throw. And if the safety does this, then it's this throw. And like at no point. Yeah. I mean, it's not even just going through, like, I don't think you expect college kids to be going through like 4 different reads. I mean, I don't think it even happens. Maybe like a Nussmeier type guy, like something like that. But so even with us all trying to figure out like the quarterback part of it, like, it's great to have a great head coach. It's great to have a play caller that's really creative and adjusts to what he can see what the defense is doing before other offensive coordinators. But like when it comes down to it, it's a guy like Ben. Is it better that you have somebody like Ben? I'm not even talking about like Roethlisberger's talent, but there was probably some good fuck you in him where it was like, all right, it's 11 of us. Like, I got this. And I know what they're, but like, there's going to be some times where I'm making this up as I go along. And maybe that's what
good defense.
Yeah. but you know, like, I think that's the part of the game that is missing for a lot of the younger players where there's almost, I feel like the quarterback position has less trust through high school, college, in those first years in the NFL than maybe we've ever seen before. And, you know, look, I don't know if that's getting in the way of development, but it's a lot to ask. I mean, because a lot of people are saying like, hey, Ben Johnson's there, it's fine. You know what I know is not there? Whatever it was they were trying to do on offense with him last season. And some of it's on him, but like the Houston game, like there's stuff that's happening for decision-making stuff. If you were watching those Bears games, you go, okay, what the fuck is this group doing?
No, I think you're spot on from a standpoint where Caleb just didn't look comfortable. And I think a lot of his instincts is a lot of his game he took from the college and he tried to survive here in the NFL and it just didn't work. Like, you know, pulling backwards out of the pocket, running left, running right, whirly bird, look down the field, hoping somebody's open, just doesn't happen on Sundays, right? It just doesn't. And I think a lot of who he was from an instinctual standpoint, I think he realized it can't work here. Like I gotta go through a progression. I gotta be able to read the defense. I gotta be able to anticipate. I gotta be able to look at fronts, and I gotta be able to get this ball out of my hand now, right? And so I don't think he just was there, and that's why I go into what I said 3 minutes ago. There's going to be an expectation with Ben Johnson and his offense for him to be on par like how Jared Goff was, and I think that's unfair to the kid, right? I think this kid is going to officially have somebody that he's going to have to gel with, build with, and kind of get this synergy moving in the right direction. And I hope Bears fans allow him that patience, give him that grace. People forget Josh Allen wasn't a guy in my eyes or official like, you know, a top 10 quarterback until year 3. You know what I mean? His game was so kind of a wild cowboy.
Well, you're right about that. Yeah, we're totally right about that.
You know, they had to shave him down to make him, all right, how we perceive Josh Allen right now. And I think Bears fans aren't going to give Caleb Williams that grace, and then they're going to be pissed off solely because of where he was drafted and how he was drafted. And I think like that's how you ruin a guy. Like the kid has it, but from the neck up, you got to allow him to grow, and we'll see.
Did you see the stat before the season started?
What's that?
16 quarterbacks, black quarterbacks starting week 1.
Well, I know the in an NFC East. Oh, power to the people. Thank you, my brother. Yeah, I know the NFC East. I mean, Dak, Jalen, Jaden, and the Russ, man. So we strong in it. We strong over here in the NFC East.
Big time.
Making
progress, my man.
Needed it. Need that.
Feel great.
Hey, man, it's a dual threat game. We know brothers can run it, and we could throw it too. And to be able to operate in a pocket, like that's what makes great. That's what makes like people will yell at Jalen for his lack of ability to throw the ball, or maybe the regression of how he threw the ball prior to winning the Super Bowl last year. And I'm just like, that's unfair to that man. He put the team before his stats. You don't think he wants to throw the ball more? But he knows the strength of his team is with Saquon Barkley in his offensive line, so he's going to hand it off. And I thought he was efficient last night. There's some throws I thought he should have let it rip, but he trusted his legs and he ran forward. But everything was moving the stick. So I like Jalen, man. I think he doesn't get nearly enough credit. I've never seen a quarterback come off winning a Super Bowl and people poo-poo on his success, right? Solely because he had 18 touchdowns. He had 14 rushing touchdowns. But the man had a 71 completion rate in the playoffs and had 77 completion rate in the Super Bowl. And by the way, both times he played Patrick Mahomes, he beat him in a stat category. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know why we don't put him in that top 5 category and how people just continue to like shit on him because of the pieces around him, right? Like if I hand you the keys to the Porsche, your job is to drive the Porsche. Don't crash that bitch. And he didn't. He drove it home and came home with a Lombardi. So,
just for the record, though, and I thought he was great last night, but Trent Dilfer was on a new team after he won a Super Bowl. He was on Seattle.
Yeah.
So, no. I don't know that Dilfer was debated towards the top of the quarterback ratings the way Jalen is. I would concede that Jalen is considered a better quarterback, so therefore he should get more respect than Dilfer was then. And basically it probably, and Trent would be the first to tell you, there's a lot of quarterbacks that would have won with that Ravens defense.
Yeah, but I think we also don't give him enough credit, man. The man threw 15 interceptions in 2003. In 2005, he cut it down to 5 interceptions, right? So there was progress made with the ball in his hand. You know what I mean? Like, we shit on that.
Are you talking about Hurts? Yes.
Hurts, yes.
Yeah, I thought you were like, man, you're just rifling some Dilfer stats at me.
No, I don't know shit about Trent Dilfer. Yeah, hell no. I'm talking about Jalen Hurts, excuse me.
All right. You want to guess Dilfer's quarterback rating for his career?
I don't know. 60?
55.
Yeah, I can see that. Right.
Let's end on that. Thanks, man. Enjoy the season, and I'll see you again.
Thank you, my brother. Always a pleasure, man. And seriously, from the bottom of my heart, dog, we've been rocking for a long time. You've always been a loyal supporter of mine. You know I got you. Within a back alley or at a steakhouse, don't matter, dog. Yeah, I appreciate you, and I'm happy with all your success, brother.
All right, my man. You can see Willie Colon on SNY, on Good Morning Football, on Fox Sports 1, all over the place. He deserves it, man. Great work.
Respect, brother.
And now it's time for a special part of today's episode brought to you by NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV. If you're an NFL fan like me, there's one move to make before the season kicks off, and that's subscribing to NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV. You get every game, every Sunday, all in one place. And you can watch up to 4 games at once with multi-view, so you never miss a key moment on the field. It's an incredible feature, but with so many to choose from, narrowing it down to 4 is a job for an expert. And that expert is me. With NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games and YouTube TV base plan for local and national games requires base plan, excludes digital-only games and commercial use. Terms, embargoes, and restrictions apply. No refunds. So, what are you doing this weekend, Russillo? Wow. I can't wait to see Jordan Love. Year 3 Jordan Love at home against the Detroit Lions. I think Detroit will be really good. I think Green Bay will be really good. That feels like the biggest game. I mean, obviously Baltimore and Buffalo, but those are knowns. Green Bay feels like an unknown that everybody's really excited about. Sure, I'm going to hang out in Brazil tonight and watch the game. But on Sunday, what am I locked in? I may not even put on another 1 Eastern game. But you actually can do that if you want to, because it's YouTube TV. And you can just throw together 4 games in one box to your liking. So that's the way to do it. That's the way to track multiple players at once. Tracking your division, conference standings, close to the playoffs. Conference standings right now, they're pretty bottled up. I'll be honest with you. With every game, every Sunday at your fingertips, choosing the ones that deserve a spot on your multi-view screen is serious business. Seriously fun business. Never miss a moment of the action with NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV. And right now you can get NFL Sunday Ticket month to month and cancel anytime. Go to youtube.com/Russillo, 2 S's, 2 L's to sign up now. Local and national games on YouTube TV. NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games excludes digital-only games. Base plan required. Renews every month during 2025 regular season only. Your membership for the following month can be canceled anytime before your renewal date. Terms, restrictions, and embargoes apply. Commercial use excluded.
You want details? Fine. I drive a Ferrari 355 Cabriolet. What's up? I have a ridiculous house in the South Fork. I have every toy you can possibly imagine. And best of all, kids, I am liquid. So, now you know what's possible. Let me tell you what's required.
LifeAdviceRR@gmail.com. That is the email address. We've got the gang here. Pony Boy. Kyle. Cut off sleeves. What's going on?
I cut them off myself a long time ago. 2010 Defensive Player of the Week.
Hell yeah.
Honestly, I was bummed out when I got it because it was like you can either have a small, medium, or a 3X. And I was like, I'll just take the fucking grill cover. And now, it fits a little better than it did then. So still a little large, but, it's funny how things work out.
Why did they have? What's with those size options?
I don't know.
Well,
it seemed like,
it seemed like
the
back
wide
in the day.
receivers, the DBs were getting all the, the larges or whatever, or like, maybe some of the middle linebackers. And I don't know. By the time I got there, it was probably like, the 7th or 8th game. It was just like, oh, so all the normal sizes are gone. Got it.
No, but it did feel like back in the day. I remember like I was a big, hey, if there's an event going on campus, like, and there's a free T-shirt being given out, I'll be there. And for whatever reason, they were always like 2Xs, and I'm like, it's a bunch of college kids. Like, what like, why do we only have 2Xs?
Because all the
just
regular
leftovers.
size humans got there before you, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's like just what they would order. They'd have like all these huge sizes. I'm like, maybe they're just leftover ones.
It's a catch-all, maybe. Maybe it's a catch-all.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway,
They're like an aftershock promo. Just like, you got to be kidding me.
I had a lot
Double
of Smirnoff shirts. Yeah.
Sky parties. What was that
Super
week like
cool.
for you walking around the hallways, buddy, after being named Defensive Player of the Week?
oh, it was so awesome. So awesome. I think I had it was like a fumble pick sort of thing near the line of scrimmage.
Playmaker.
And I don't know. They
David
said my
Pollock.
knee was down, but we saw on tape it wasn't. So they robbed me of that. But I had a couple great plays that game. God, love walking around school for that week after. It was an away game though, so not everyone got to see it. That was tough.
They heard about it though.
Yeah, they did.
I just can think. All I'm thinking about is the Sopranos scene where Anthony recovers the fumble.
Got a real nose for the ball.
Right. And Jeff is walking you back to the car. What did you do after the game? Well, you just took the bus back, I assume. Yeah. So that's usually what happens at road
Took the
games,
bus
yeah.
back. Yeah. I tell you, didn't mess around at all during football season. Your boy was quitting everything. It was like, a real dry January or whatever. But for whatever the football season was, it was like, I don't know. For some reason, that was just enough. So other guys would be like, come on, we're going to go smoke after practice. I'm like, can't do it. Can't swing it. So I don't know. That really got in my head football season.
You made a contract with yourself.
I really did.
Just leading by example. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the hockey team would take a vow to not drink. And one guy would drink. It was this huge thing. I can't believe he's drinking during season, I mean,
maybe
it's great.
I should join that 40 under thing I'm seeing on Instagram. Those 40U football guys.
It's the first thing I thought of. It sounds like you need to join
Maybe
a
I
football
need
team
to-
again.
yeah.
Dude.
Little
Something to
discipline.
just unlock that part of my brain. I don't know.
That would be great if you showed up to some under 40 just league where those guys either have the best insurance. My guess is they have none.
I was
Yeah.
going to say, I think it's the other way around.
I mean, seeing the clips of that stuff, it's like I admire it so much, even though it's probably one of the dumbest decisions you can make. But just to see Kyle show up to the first practice, they get through reps, and he's like, all right, so we're just all on the same page. We don't drink this season.
Starting to pack right now.
Oh man, I think anyone who's playing any sort of tackle football, I feel like there's probably towns all over America. There's certainly ones, in and around Poughkeepsie, the crown jewel where I'm at, where it was just like guys who was like barbers, just guys who are in their 30s, 40s. They'll meet up in a field in November and play no pads tackle football or full contact. I think you got to have a different kind of wiring to be at the age of injuring yourself doing normal things, and you're like, let's just play
Post-college.
football on Sunday mornings.
Yeah, post-college, we had a friend just snap an ankle in half, and that was kind of the end of our pickup situation.
Were you guys
And-
tackling each other?
This was in college, though, well, it was a high school or college. Yeah, we were tackling. It was in a field somewhere, and, dude, it was brutal. And that was kind of the end of that.
They'll just do it before football. It's we just got to be done by 12 so we can catch
But
the
dudes
first game.
But dudes are crazy, too, because we used to play full contact pool basketball with a Fisher Price hoop.
Dude.
It was, and that was
I still do
honestly
that.
my favorite part of the summer. Yeah.
I thought I was having a heart attack this time I was back. I was like, hold on, timeout. You're drowning me, dude.
Dudes would be getting scratched retinas just for no
Yeah.
reason in the pool. It was
Elbows
just
flying.
slaps on the back. Yeah, it's bad.
That I miss. I miss that. We had some
but
tackle
still,
stuff.
You
in
could still get me
college.
involved in that game of high intensity pool
Don't twist
basketball.
my arm.
Yeah, come on, I'm right there.
Okay, let's get some emails here.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
start with Saltwater. 62190, no true gym stats. I work out at home. Workouts consist of Peloton rides followed by calisthenics. Nothing crazy. NBA comp is Michael Jordan. Shout out to Michael Jared Wargon.
Nice.
Longtime listener, SVP show. Listen to the segment about Kyle's dad in the saltwater pool. The water is not salt water.
I know
It's a salt-based system with a chlorinator that converts the salt into chlorine. The water is far less abrasive to the skin than traditional liquid chlorine pool systems and much easier to maintain, but the water in the pool is still chlorinated.
It is.
Ideally around 3 ppm. Is that check out?
That I don't know. I don't know.
We'll go with the guy here.
It's just sort of a blanket term. Like, be like, wow, nice pool. Next thing, it's like salt water. That's how we say it. I know it's not actual like ocean water in there, but for everyone else that doesn't know.
Well, he said the segment was still awesome, but
I'd still couch that as salt water. I wouldn't be like, well, it's a system. It's a feeder system.
Yeah, so it sounds like a 3 ppm chlorine situation. So
you just dump salt in it. That's really
sounds right to me.
I don't want to out myself, but I do have a saltwater pool, and it's pretty easy. It's pretty nice.
Hey, it's not your dad's. Apparently, just having it be your dad's is the worst thing for your rep. If you got one, I mean, you're doing something right.
I think the email backs you up. You're not as fancy as we thought.
I guess it does.
Nah.
Ceruti has one just laying in the cut all of Tuesday's episode.
Yeah, it's right over here. Yeah, it's nice.
I
don't know. I didn't want to. I don't know. It's kind of awkward, but yeah, I do have a saltwater pool. It's nice. You just dump salt in, and that's pretty much it.
Sounds like he should be taking more shots on life advice. Saltwater pool. He's got some stuff figured out.
What's awkward? Working hard and being able to put in a pool at your house?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just you're right. I guess maybe I should be more proud of
what
it.
A dick.
I don't know. Yeah.
Bring Oregon back, but that guy doesn't have a pool. All right. Am I a bitch? Hello, 29, 6'3", 200 pounds, nothing too crazy in the gym, but I can rep out 225. With the start of the football season, I want to get y'all's opinion on a recent situation on advice on how to deal with dickheads in the stands and public settings in general. I'd like to preface this by saying that I'm definitely not a fighter, but if I were an elected official, I'd pass a law that every person can fight one person per year, has to be a justifiable reason without any consequences, still working out the fine print on this legislation. I do think it'd be nice if there was something in there. I think it would keep us all in check.
Like a committee votes. Maybe you can't vote, but a committee votes. Be like, yeah, this is within the parameters.
Also known as a jury.
Yeah,
I don't know.
No.
You're saying you could take a trial by combat?
Right. And like the committee decides whether this is a justifiable thing. But
yeah, I've been reading about dueling again. Can we bring it back?
Yeah, I was gonna say jousting.
Jousting. I think you almost have to really trust the opponent in a joust. Because it seems like there's stuff you could do there.
What, to not aim at your head?
Yeah. This isn't jousting. Well, you have a toothpick through your eye socket. Yeah. Come on, dude. I don't know. I don't know all the rules on it. But whenever I read about dueling, like, you know what?
Do you know when the last sanctioned duel was?
Hamilton, yeah.
Was that a sanctioned duel? I don't know if it was. Oh, it was. Okay.
Well, at that time,
it was done by that time.
It was the Northeast was very against it, and then the South was for it. And then that's kind of like this gunfighter book that I'm reading, where it's kind of this Southern migration to Texas. So there's some of these Southern sensibilities with the lawlessness of just, I mean, you want to talk about dudes breaking out of prison. Like every single chapter I'm reading about a guy, it's like, and then he was arrested and then he got out. Like constantly. Like, and then the author even makes a joke about it. He's like, if you're catching on that prison security was lax back then, you obviously learned the lesson here. So anyway, I
always think about that just real quick. Like when, if back in like the 1800s, like if somebody just like wanted to not be found, you just don't find them. Like, right? Like where you just go away. They might be dead. We don't even know.
Or they got a real nice wanted poster of you and you're like, damn, they nailed that one. Shit.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's got to be a good feeling when somebody like totally botches it and you're like, they're never going to catch me. But they put out like a 98% match and you're like, oh man, I'm cooked.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, Ceruti. It's just, okay, I shot a couple people in this part of Kansas, and then I'm just going to go to New Mexico now.
Yeah, I'm in Montana now. Okay, sure.
Like, what's your name? Steve.
You pick. I don't give a shit.
Steve Jackson. Came up north from the Rio Grande. Okay, he's not the guy. And then you just go back to gambling. It's like, there's no ID. Anything? Let's run this through the system. What system? Word of mouth. Okay. Back to dueling. All right. So he's at the CU Georgia Tech game in Boulder over the weekend. I was sitting with my dad, all CU fans, in a section of full of CU fans. A guy behind us, maybe 45 years old, not a big guy, looked like a bitch. Wow. And also a CU fan, was obnoxious the whole game. He was hammered, screaming ridiculous shit like hurt him, tear his Achilles. We're all on your side just after that evidence.
Fuck
by the
that
way.
guy.
The whole game. I love live sports and know a lot of this comes with the territory of going to live games. We all put up with the screaming and even some occasional spit on the back of our necks. However, all caps, he was also constantly leaning on us and accidentally hitting us with his hand when he did one of his hand gestures towards the end of the game. I finally asked him politely to give us some space. He used some body control. He didn't take this well and started swearing at me and my dad, telling us to go F ourselves. I've been a season ticket holder for 30 years, and I can do whatever I want. That's the full quote. Go F yourself. I've been a season ticket. Yeah, dude, whatever. What is it, like 7 games? That was always like the Pats thing. I went to a Pats-Jets game, late 90s, early 2000s. We had somebody else's seats. They were pretty good seats, but it was back in Foxborough where we were on the benches. And, you know, you're just trying to, we were so not rowdy because we had to drive back to Vermont. And, you know, somebody dropped the season ticket thing on us. Season ticket holder, 20 years. All right. Well, I guess you get to just punch everyone now. My bad. His friends realized he was in the wrong and being an asshole, so they made him move where he wasn't directly behind us, but he kept yelling at us, so I returned fire with some of my best insults and suggestions on what he should do to himself. Side note, calling someone who is angry and small big guy does not diffuse the situation.
That's a good one.
Guy steps down to our level where he's in my face now screaming. Would I have been justified socking him before his friends finally removed him from our section altogether? I could have taken him easily and find myself wishing I had hit him to teach him a lesson. Common sense would say I did the right thing by not ending up on World Star. But what would y'all have done? In what public situation is it okay to throw a punch? I think ultimately, like, just to answer the overall thing, we're all probably better off when it's only when you feel threatened, and you clearly didn't feel threatened. I know exactly what you're dealing with. I've had a few moments in my life where I felt like, I'll just use your word, a bitch for weeks after something where I was like, yeah, you know, maybe you should have, maybe you should have. And it's like, you're only playing out the scenario where you win and everything goes right and you're not sued, you know, because there's plenty of people that do strike. And then it's like, man, I wish I hadn't done that. Some of it's maturity, some of it's temper, some of it's just, you know, knowing sometimes you're so overwhelmingly right that you are less likely to want to get physical. And the other person kind of knows that they're so completely wrong, or in this case, they're hammered, so they're not thinking clearly anyway. So I totally get what you're saying. I think everyone listening to this has had this kind of situation where somebody's so completely wrong. But, you know, you don't know. I mean, what ends up happening? I mean, if he doesn't do anything and then 3 of his buddies are filing statements saying that you started the whole thing, you know, who knows? You could be going in for appearances like 3 times over the next 6 or 7 months and explaining it to work. And so I understand that feeling. All of us, I think most of us, you know, wanting to feel like you can protect yourself, wanting to feel like you can get on the other guy. But that was kind of weird phrasing. But I would say, you know, I don't know that anybody's going to go, you should have cracked him. What a loser.
Well, probably everyone in the comments will, but that's easy for them to say.
No one's tougher than everybody else after your altercation.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you got to think videos. I mean, half the time, if somebody's taking a video of a fight that's just started or whatever, you know, a lot in the stadium, a lot of people are like, look at these 2 assholes. Sometimes you can see the chirping and, you know, and there's context in there, but for the,
you never see the beginning.
You almost never see the beginning unless there's, you know, someone who's so drunk. You're like, I just got to see what this person's going to do. But I mean, it's just, you're right. It gets posted somewhere, or there's, you know, if the loser of the fight, I think, is probably almost always a little bit more inclined to take things to the courts than the winner. So, yeah, I think especially you said he's a little guy. I mean, I think you could probably take a punch just to know that, like, if you think it's going to go there, like, just to be sure that you're on the right side of the law here. I think fighting in stadiums is almost always a no-no. I know I get like adrenaline's high and stuff, but it sounded like he was in the wrong section to be doing that type of thing, right? Are they all Colorado fans?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Either way. We were just talking about this before the show. You saw, Ron, that video of the LSU Clemson altercation.
Yeah, I mean, good for the Clemson guy.
That, I mean, that's the thing is like you want the fuck around and find out kid to find out, and he found out, and it's awesome to see. Because that video is incredible to begin with. I mean, like Van broke that down on the Tailgate show, and it was just incredible. I mean, like it's just an older dude putting this younger guy who flips off. It's a younger LSU fan. I think it was like the final play or whatever of the game. He flips off this random older Clemson fan, like not old, but like older dude. And he immediately
watch him do that mental math in like 1 second.
Yeah,
he's like, yeah, I'm gonna do it.
Immediately puts him in a chokehold, and it's just on. And it's so great to see that happen because like honestly. Fuck that guy flipping some random stranger off. Like he kind of deserves it, but I don't know. I do sort of subscribe to the like don't throw the first punch thing. I mean, maybe that's my dad thing because I don't know. Especially if you could take this guy, like that's also a powerful feeling too, right? If you're just like, hey, you're so below my level, I'm not even going to swing at you because and make sure he knows that. But I don't know. I think there's probably more bad that comes out of it, even if it's incredibly satisfying.
Yeah, and as you get older, it's not like, oh, I don't want to hurt myself when I say like you got more to lose. As you get older, you just realize like, I don't know, it's like one of those Oregon Trail things. It's like if we do this, there's like 5 multiple choices here. Like
one of them's dysentery.
Maybe we don't do this, and I think I like those multiple choices better. So I think that's just. Every year I get older, I like to get more towards that side of the trail. Yeah.
Look, that Ryen thing bummed me out for 2 weeks. But I don't know. I couldn't figure out why. I was like, what do you think the root of your... It was like, because he was so confident. Like, am I not hitting the traps enough? Like, what would have made him so confident? Like, look at you.
You're in the mirror, like, look at you. What are you talking about?
You catch yourself on the wrong, like a little dehydrated, overtired, face looks a little bit older. You're like, did I age 4 years last night? Like, what happened?
Is there a line here? What's going on? Yeah.
So, like, this is what this guy sized up and was like, fuck this guy. Get out of this Ryen right now. It's like, I'm not mad about your actions. I'm not even mad about your aggressiveness. I'm mad about your confidence. Like, what?
Yeah.
But, there's a lot of kids out there going, my dad said, don't ever throw the first punch, and you're looking up.
No, but you're right. Like, I think there is that, when you're
in high school, it's okay. I think after that, it gets a little.
But
I think there's sometimes where you better, we'll sort out who was wrong later.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not the fighting.
Not in this case. Not in this case, though. No, I understand what you're saying, Ceruti, and it's kind of. But I mean, what were you going to do? Were you going to feel awesome if you beat up a hammered guy?
Yeah, did he get arrested? And it's like, okay, cool. What happens now?
You're in stadium jail.
By the way, did you see the Seahawks thing? Like, they're putting guys. I mean, this isn't new, but they're putting like cops in opposing teams' jerseys now. Like, now if that's going to be happening, like
that's entrapment.
Yeah, it just does feel wrong.
What if you're just heckling? Right?
Free speech.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what if you're just giving the guy the business? And then what is the cop supposed to do? Just never engage? What if that guy's passionate about football?
That's funny if the cops are like...
He turns around, he's like, yeah, great job on third down today.
It'd be funny if those cops are like those detectives that you can spot. It's like the haircut and like the type of undercover clothes they're using. And you're just like, oh, yeah. And he's like, hey, you guys know where I can get any grass? It's like, what?
You guys doing
I just wonder if you could just spot him right away. It's like right after the kickoff, you're like, oh my God, we got one next to us. Holy crap. How are we gonna spend this 4 hours?
Yeah.
All right.
I don't even know what we were talking about. Oh, the fighting kid.
Yeah, don't fight that guy in the stadium.
Okay, the mighty Thor. Let's do this one. Good day, gentlemen. 5'10", 190, NBA comp, Brandon Jennings, smart guy, throws his body around every now and then the ball manages to go in. So my brother and his wife named their kid Arthur. Fine name, kind of regal, but also sounds like he should be playing clarinet in a middle school band. I decided uncle duties include nicknaming.
Sure.
So I went with Thor.
Wow.
Gave the kid a stuffed, what is that, Mjolnir?
Mjolnir?
Yeah, the hammer thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I've had a hard time with the superhero movies lately.
Yeah, this one isn't lately, though. It's been a while.
Yeah. Anyway, it's been a while since I watched a newer one recently.
It's tough.
And I realized why I haven't watched them in such a long time.
They had a good run.
Had a really good run. All right. So anyway, he's been hammer smashing and drooling on it like he was born in Asgard. My side of the family completely bought in. We all call him Thor now. Here's the hitch. Over pancakes last week, my brother casually drops it. My sister-in-law, low-key, doesn't like the nickname. Now context, when she says low-key doesn't like it, that's code for she's internally raging and would happily throw I got to pronounce this thing again, through my windshield. I was never much of a Thor guy. I love the name Thor. I've even joked about it, naming a kid Thor. Yeah, right. So what's my move? Keep calling him Thor because he's already halfway to leading the Avengers. Go back to Arthur, which feels like he should be solving mysteries with a talking aardvark. Or do I go one step further and be the responsible uncle and Art? And tell the rest of the family to drop Thor too, because honestly, Thor's an all-time nickname. If you can live up to it, what's up, Oregon? Yeah. So that's the ruling. Do I retire Thor or keep feeding the legend? Yeah, look, man, it's not your kid. And so if the mom who named it hates the nickname where you're trying to, like, I love the name, I'm totally on her side. And I would say, based on like the creativity and fun you had with that email, that I think this email is very revealing of your personality, and that you kind of think it's like hilarious and funny and the whole thing. But yes, to Kyle's point, you also get it. And I don't know, man. I mean, if I had a kid, I'm not even the mom, obviously. But if I had a kid and then somebody else decided that my kid's name was something else.
Yeah, start calling him Spike. It's like, what?
Yeah. No, hold on. Just a minute.
Yeah. You got to let this one go.
And he doesn't have to go and tell the whole family, even though he was the genius that came up with his nickname, right? The brother is also in the family. So it's the brother's job to be like, hey, just got this word from HQ, just sending this memo out to everyone. That's not your job as the uncle, right? So yeah, I think
he started the whole thing.
He started it, but he didn't tell everyone like, hey, guess what? Here I got a great idea. He was probably just, on a like a little nephew uncle kid excursion, and he came out with it there. So I don't know. I think it could totally be that the actual father of the kid could come on and tell his side of the family. That's what you have to do or their in-laws. Like if you got the person who is on that side of the family has to get the message out to them. So yeah, I just go with whatever I'd leave it up to the dad and just go with whatever he says.
So
the vice president there.
I agree. The thing is though, Arthur and Thor, that those two dudes are grown up to be two totally different people, right? Like I kind of
Arthur's not riding
like your
dirt
name
bikes.
develop. Yeah, exactly. Your name kind of like gets you into a lane, right? Depending on what, like if you have an artsy weird name, you're likely going to be more artsy, right? If you have like a normal kind of name, like like famous people have kind of, I don't know, they grow up differently. So if this guy grows up as Thor, like maybe that's the other thing is like you're kind of like shaping the way that this kid could potentially grow up, and like maybe the mom's nervous of that. At the end of the day, like if the parents don't like it, like that's the end. Like you kind of have to back off, and it's innocent enough for me. It's not his fault. Like it's just in good fun, and of course the kid's gonna like the nickname. It's Thor. He's getting gifts from it, and it sounds cool, but you just kind of have to drop it. Like if he's, older and still wants to keep, be called that or something, he gets a call back to it maybe, but like he's so young right now where of course he's going to like it. Like you're the fun uncle and you're giving him stuff, and everyone gets excited when they say Thor, but I think you gotta back off.
And also family nicknames don't necessarily need to leave like the house. Doesn't need to like go into the world. Like I went to some of my buddies' houses in high school, and like, his mom's calling him Bo and Boo and Bug, like just different names. And I'm like, for different people, I'm like, what? And he's like, oh yeah, that's just how I grew up. And it's like, he didn't come into school and introduce himself as Boo. But that's
I learned that the hard way a little bit. Cause my oldest daughter, I call her Cheese. She likes cheese, and she has like this really incredibly cute cheesy smile, right? So we call her Cheese.
Okay.
And I started calling her that at daycare, and then people started calling her Cheese, and my wife
now she's crying at daycare.
You can't call her Cheese. Like this is not going to be a thing that's going to catch on. So I kind of had to stop doing that, which was a little, at least in public. So you're right, Kyle. Like you got to kind of be careful.
I've never met an accountant named Meadow.
True.
And if you're thinking about like, can you imagine what your brother's dealing with at home?
Mm.
So you're just inviting some version of like some extra conflict. You know, there's going to be conflict. It's unavoidable in a marriage. Don't do this to him. Where now you've created another conflict where the wife is clearly like, this sucks. I name my kid something. Your brother doesn't get to rename them. I think the cheese lesson is a good one in here. You know, I mean, do you want your dog, like you like to call her that? Do you want kids calling up when she's in high school and be like, is Cheese home? Although she probably has a cell phone. Yeah. Probably no house phone. So you wouldn't even know. Yeah. That'll do it for us today. Thanks to Oregon. Zero effort.
No.
Well,
all the effort.
I like when he just checks in so we know he's there.
Takes a while to like turn this thing on now.
You got to be, if you stay ready, you don't got to get ready, buddy.
I'm not ready. There you go.
All right.
I'm not just going to sit here in silence the whole time, though.
How you feeling about those Yanks?
Love it.
Could tell.
Can't get enough of it, yeah. Big series this weekend, Blue Jays.
Big series.
Big series.
North of the border.
In New York, but.
No, I'm just the rivalry. Goes beyond borders. What do you think's going on? Who do you think's having a tougher time with like foreigners right now? Toronto or New York City? I don't know. I just.
Oh, Mike, come on.
Yeah.
I've never been in Toronto. I don't know. Does New York have a problem? Is that a thing?
Oh no,
that's not my area of expertise.
Right.
I don't even know. I don't know. I guess some of the people that I don't even know what I was doing there.
We're getting emails asking about that.
Yeah, just trying to put you in a spot. Yeah, we have a lot. We have a lot of
do some research
emails
on that for next pod.
Yeah,
it's a different file. Our policy pod. What we're gonna do. Thanks to Kyle. Thanks to Ceruti. Thanks to Oregon. Thanks to Jonathan Frias. We are a video podcast on the Spotify app. You can check us out on YouTube as well. Ryen Russillo Podcast, Ringer, Spotify, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, moving forward.
They were going to name me Michael Jordan. My dad was like, I don't think he can live up to it, so they named me Michael Jared.
Must be 21 and older and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is there. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.